Okay, Roy Hodgson's named his squad for San Marino and Estonia coming up for France 2016. Got off to a good start, Curbs, beating Switzerland away 2-0. A couple of surprises in the squad. Nathaniel Klein and John Joe Shelvey. What do you make of those two?
Well, I think that Roy has done it before. He's brought people into the squad to get used to being in that environment. And, perhaps are not going to feature in the games, but be around it and understand the build-up, understand the get-together, because that is quite intense. You come off the back of the Premier League games and then, you've got a week of intense work, 2 games involved, the pressure, the media pressure and everything else. So why not bring a couple of these young boys in just to let them see it and let them go away feeling hungry for a bit more. That's the point, I think. Watch the build-up, mix with the big-name players, and then want more of it. And go back to your club and try and impress Roy every time you play.
If there's one position in the England squad that I think is absolutely up for grabs, I think it's right back. And not totally convinced with Glenn Johnson. Kyle Walker flatters to deceive. The boy Flanagan at Liverpool may force his way in, but he's had injuries this season. There's a number of other players that can play in that position. We've seen the 2 boys from Manchester United, Jones and
Smalling.
But that's a position I think is up for grabs. And could he start in this game?
I think out of all the perhaps surprise call-ups, I think Nathaniel Klein could start, because it is a problem area. You've got Kyle Walker out injured, got Glenn Johnson out injured. Stones has played there. But he may be needed at centre back. You got Chambers as well, who perhaps could be involved. But if there is going to be a new cap, if you like, I think it could be Nathaniel Klein. I saw him play last week for Southampton. Looks very accomplished. It's nice to see a right back that defends. No disrespect, but I keep seeing fullbacks, and all they want to do is get forward.
Well, they're converted wingers now, fullbacks, aren't
Absolutely. And that's why we're seeing so many goals, because I think defending as an art has gone out of the game a little bit. But he likes to do both sides of it. So I was quite impressed with that. He actually wants to stop a cross. He actually wants to get his head on the thing when it comes into the box. So he may have an opportunity. I don't think it would extend much further than that. I think perhaps he's the one who's got a chance of getting a cap.
Now, Shelvey, who's involved, and he's been on the fringes. His name has been linked. He's obviously had to leave Liverpool to further his career. How do you see his position? Because Roy played a diamond last time away at Switzerland, and Jack Wilshere played at the base there. I don't think he's a holding midfielder.
No, he's
but he done a job and got away with it. I see if he is going to play hold, I see someone alongside him, or do you see him sitting at the base of that diamond?
No, he needs to be at the top of it. He needs to be where Ross Barkley will play, or the number 10.
Could he play anywhere else in that diamond?
He can, but I think he's a midfield player that when he picks the ball up, he's always looking to express himself. He's always looking for that pass. He needs to get in the box a bit more and try and get on the end of things. He needs to score more goals if he wants to be a number 10.
Can he play that? Because I see him play along against Chelsea. They played very well. There was him and the boy Key, and they totally dominated the opening 35 minutes of that game at Stamford Bridge. If you had someone alongside him, could he play a little bit like the quarterback role that we spoke about Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, he can play that role. If you asked him where he wants to play, it'd be number 10. But I think with Gary Monk taking over at Swansea, he's restricted him quite a bit. He's asked him to receive balls off the back foot. There was a game last season we got caught a couple of times very early on, do you remember? And paid the price. But I think he wants to be a number 10. But listen, if Roy Hodgson, the England manager, says to him, look, that's the position that I really want to see if you can do, and I'm going to look at you in training or whatever, I'm sure John Joe Shelvey will try and play that role. I'm just pleased that we've got another young English player coming through, because you're right, I think that he's had to leave Liverpool. He started off at Charlton, had to leave, big move to Liverpool, but has had to make the decision to leave Liverpool and go to Swansea to establish himself. There's always time, I don't think Swansea would be happy to hear this, but there's always time for him to go back to another top club if he progresses the way he has been. So, I'm really pleased that we're bringing some young talent through, and he's a young talent.
young boy Kieran Gibbs, who I've been watching for a number of years, played in the Champions League semi-final, I think, a couple of years ago. Acquitted himself very well, suffered through injuries. One of these boys that always seems to pick up injuries. Well, a lot of players do at Arsenal for some unknown reason. But is he going to be in a similar position that Wayne Bridge was? What I mean by that is that Wayne Bridge couldn't get ahead of Ashley Cole, and I wonder whether Leighton Baines and further down the line Luke Shaw will be in that position. Or do you think he's good enough to hold down a regular left-back spot for him?
I think that Kieran Gibbs, what he needs to do is stay fit. You touched on it. I just think that, he's in and out of that Arsenal side. As you said, they do have a lot of injuries at Arsenal, but he needs to stay fit. He needs to have a full season, because until he does that, I don't think he's ever going to establish himself in the Arsenal side, or the England side. And Arsene Wenger's had to bring fullbacks in left fullbacks in over the last 3 years on a regular basis, and that's because I think he's injury problems. So, first things first, he needs to stay fit. I do think he can cause Leighton Baines a problem. I really do, because I think perhaps defensively he acquits himself a bit better than perhaps Luke Shaw, and he don't mind getting forward. So I think he can be a real threat to Leighton Baines, but he's got to stay fit and he's got to be a regular in the Arsenal side.
Talking of fitness, some controversy last time Daniel Sturridge was with the England squad. He returned back to Liverpool injured. Brendan Rodgers and a number of other Liverpool fans were complaining that they didn't look after him. What's it like as an ex-manager when you speak to international managers? Obviously you want your players to go and do well, represent their country, but you want them back fit as well.
Well, let me tell you, as a club manager, the last thing you want is for your player to come back injured when he's been on international duty. And in Roy Hodgson's case, that's the last thing he wants as well. He doesn't want to send players back injured. So it's a big problem. You have to have conversations, not knowing the ins and outs, but I'll be very, very disappointed if Liverpool, Brendan Rodgers has had a conversation with Roy Hodgson regarding the care and the handling and the care of one of his players. Because let's be honest about it, Liverpool know more about Daniel Sturridge than perhaps Roy Hodgson would in terms of the way he recovers from games, what he needs to do to recover, what he needs to do to prevent injuries. And I'd be gobsmacked if that information hasn't been given to the England camp and it's not been used. I can't, because no one wins. No one wins if the case is no, we're not going to listen to what you do with the players. He's with us, and we're going to do that. So, I think it's a problem when a player returns injured from international duty. I can't quite believe that the conversations between Liverpool and Roy Hodgson wasn't met favourably.
So what's the conversations like between you and international managers? Is it ever fractious?
No, I think that the conversation with Liverpool and Roy Hodgson and England would have been on the lines of, look, we have monitored Daniel Sturridge, we have monitored what happens to him 24 hours after a game, what happens to him 48 hours after a game, and where he's at a little bit longer after a game. And we believe this is the way that he needs to recuperate from games. And we would like you to bear that in mind. And I can't quite believe that wouldn't have been adhered to, and...
How do you think Brendan's looked coming out of this conversation? Because reading the back pages, it appears to me that the Roy has taken a bit of umbrage. I don't think that any international manager should be told who he can and can't pick by club managers.
No, I don't think he's been told, Roy Hodgson, who he can and can't pick. I think he's been asked politely that this is the way our players recover and this is what we think they need to stay fit. And as I say, I don't believe that wouldn't have been took on board.